Welcome to the FARMacist Podcast. I am your host, the Farmerette, digging into agriculture. I'm going a different direction today. Since it's Easter weekend, and if you're not listening during Easter, maybe you're listening during Halloween. I don't care. If you like chocolate, I'm digging into cocoa. And if you're paying attention to the commodity market itself on cocoa, you'll see those charts just exploded. So I want to dig into COO, cocoa, chocolate. And with that, let's dig in. I don't know a single person that does not like chocolate, but I think that it's a very unique crop. It's something that we don't think about because we take it for granted. And if you have any chance to look at the commodity of this particular agricultural product, you'll notice that since January, it has just skyrocketed. I think right now it's close to 9,900 a ton. The cocoa futures soared with this fresh market, extending the March gains to about 54% in a year-to-date surge to make more than 130%. Due to this poor harvest in top-producing countries, that is the main reason why we're seeing this increase. Hasn't affected our market yet for going to buy a Snicker bar, but I would suggest maybe if you do like chocolate or cocoa or bake a lot or need chocolate chips, I'd probably be hoarding that right now at the grocery store. And I'm just forewarning. I'm just looking at this, and I don't know what the Hershey's and investors, I'm guessing, are probably pulling back just because we know that this is gonna be crazy. I think probably come fall. I don't know. That's just my take. But digging into chocolate, it's a unique crop. It's grown on trees. It's harvested twice a year. And obviously the reason for this is due to the shortage supplies. And El Nino brought heavy rains in December, leading to a poor crop. And it spread the black pod disease, apparently. So subsequent extreme heat, the aging cocoa trees, and it's Ivory Coast. That's kind of where it got hit. And right now it says, I'm reading this off of the tradingeconomics.com. Meanwhile, the Ivory Coast cocoa regulator said it expects the Ivory Coast mid-crop, which officially starts in April, and the smaller of the two annual harvests to fall 33% to 400 metric tons from 600 metric tons last year. So that's kind of where that cocoa market is at. And it is intriguing. It's a crop that they have to ferment this stuff. I had no idea. It's just reading through and learning about cocoa beans. They're dried, fermented seeds of the cocoa tree. It's a tropical evergreen tree native to Central South America. It produces these pods, which contain cocoa beans. And the cocoa beans are harvested from the pods and then processed to make cocoa butter and cocoa solids. And these cocoa products are used to make a wide variety of chocolate products that you and I put in our mouths whenever we're craving a sweet tooth. So those chocolate bars, those chocolate chips, the chocolate candies. And since it's Easter, I figured why not talk about this. So to make chocolate, those cocoa solids and cocoa butter are ground into a fine paste called a chocolate liqueur. And the sugar, the milk, the other ingredients such as vanilla, they're added to that chocolate liqueur to make different types of chocolate. And the chocolate is then poured into molds, allowed to cool, solidify, and all of the large chocolate producers in the area ship them out to us, and we have them in the grocery stores. So it's a very unique crop, and it's very hand harvested, a lot of labor involved. And sadly, I think the manufacturers are making more than half of the money. I think they probably make 10%, like most of agriculture, I guess, as farmers. So I feel for these guys, but obviously there's a supply demand thing going on right now. So, but I think I just wanted to bring attention the fact that honestly, I take it for granted. We take chocolate for granted, and educating on this podcast, that's why I'm here. I'm digging into agriculture, and although I don't grow this crop, these trees, I don't live in a tropical region. I wish I did, but it's a crop. It is a crop. It is something that goes into our food production, and it's something that here's another fact for you. A cocoa tree can produce about close to 2,000 pods per year. The pod is kind of like a football shape, or the fruit, the cocoa grows from the branches and oddly straight out of the trunk. And the pods, which mature throughout the year, encase a silky white pulp, about 30 to 40 seeds. If we're digging into actually what this pulp is sweet and it's tart and it's eaten and used to make drinks. And then the seeds, where you might bite into one straight out of the pod, are incredibly bitter. So not all like the chocolate that we're used to. It's a very, very bitter. That's why we got to add a lot of other things to it. So obviously, it's a perfect design. The fruit attracts the forest animals, like your monkeys, who eat the fruit, and then they cast the seeds aside, dispersing them and allowing new trees to sprout. So the work of nature. It's hard to imagine why humans ever thought to do anything with seeds, honestly, when you think about it. But we plant seeds, and cocoa beans or cocoa trees are no different. It's just that it's a tree. So when you harvest these pods, they're usually done twice a year, like I stated. The trees are too fragile to climb, so harvesting is accomplished by workers on the ground who usually machete with a long pole on the end, and then open the pods by hand, taking care of not to damage those beans that are inside. And then next comes most of the important steps in the process, the fermentation. The beans will sticky with pulp are placed on earthen pits or wooden bins and covered with banana leaves left to ferment. And the heat of fermentation then changes that bitter flavor in those beans into something more edible, more chocolatey. And the sugars in the bean turn into acids. Boy, there's some pharmacy school here. And the color changes from pale to dark brown, and then the pulp melts away. And the length of fermentation process depends on the type of bean. The higher the quality bean may only need a few days, where others may need a week or more. And then after fermentation, the beans are dried in the sun for about a week. The flavor continues to develop during that time. And some manufacturers try to speed this process along by drying the beans over a fire, which gives them a more of a smoky flavor. So that's a little bit about the cocoa beans. I want to make sure that next time you're biting into a Snickers bar, or maybe you want to go buy a bunch of Snickers right now, because I'm thinking 6 months, a year from now, that chocolate bar is probably going to cost $4, $3. I don't know, but chocolate, I think it's going to go up in the grocery stores. So I would suggest buying anything that's on sale after Easter. With that, I am the pharmacist assisting crops on your farm and digging into agriculture. Thank you for joining me. Follow me on social media. I am under the Farmerette, kind of like the Bachelorette, but I'm a farmer. And appreciate you listening, and I will talk to you on the next episode.